let them talk if they want to. Talk don't bother me.
And welcome to Let Them Talk. I'm Paul DeRienzo.
And I'm Miss Joan Marie Musi.
And we have a great guest today. We have the comedic personality of Reno. Welcome.
Well, yeah, I brought my personality with me. Hi, how are you?
Great.
Thanks so much for coming.
Good
Yeah,
to have you
sure.
on.
It's a great neighborhood.
It is, isn't
Right.
it?
Yeah, East 104th Street. I haven't spent a lot of time here.
Right, it is. And
It's
the
like old
restaurants,
school New
I know,
York.
it's old school New York, still
Yeah.
holding on.
Thank God, yeah.
Right. And
Somebody designs those hideous costumes on 3rd Avenue. Did you pass them?
I missed the costumes, but I saw the murals, which I love the murals.
Yeah,
down
the murals
here.
are good. It's
Right.
just the selling of the underwear that, you know, somebody is somewhere in the world designing the ugliest pot, because somebody has to design it first
Yeah.
before they make
That's
it.
right.
Right.
But it's inexpensive, so that's good.
Right, that makes it amazing how they. I wonder how they do design those things. It's funny. If
It
they
is
just
funny.
a computer, just pack.
I don't
they
know.
have
I mean,
somebody-
for years I think it's
Yeah.
not a computer. I don't know.
Right.
It's like what 14th
It's a
Street
little
used to
old
be.
lady.
Right. Well, it's funny you
Sitting
bring
in
up
the back.
fashion to begin with because
Fashion.
you know, and I'm thinking about Benetton, which is the United Colors of Benetton,
Yeah.
the most politically correct of all clothing to wear for some reason, and they owned a factory that collapsed and killed 600 people. I mean,
Oh, they owned that factory?
yeah,
They
well,
owned it?
they were getting, they didn't own it, but they were getting
They were purchasing
the clothing from there.
merchandise
That's who was
from there.
making the clothing
Isn't
for
that
them, right?
interesting?
Actually,
Yeah, well,
some
what about
mafioso
Apple?
was owned it. Some local organized crime figure owned it in that city.
Mm-hmm.
But he was arrested. Well, I don't know if he'll stay in jail very long, but. I don't know, just to bring that up, I mean, on a light note, but it's one of those.
start.
it is
Yeah, I
a
remember
cheerful
when
start
my,
for a comedian. Sorry
I
about
owned
that.
a few
Okay, make that
factories
funny.
in,
yeah, right.
on the Lower East Side, and they crushed all my relatives.
Right. There you go. And,
Look,
or burned, or they
inferior
jumped out of it.
cement.
Yeah, right.
That's all there is to it, guys.
know.
Yeah, that was good of you, Gary.
Sorry, Paul.
Yeah.
Sorry to open up with such a negative thing, but I thought
But we're
maybe you
here to
could.
talk about Reno
I
and
know.
our upcoming show, Alive in America.
Reno, alive in
Reno,
America.
Alive in America.
Yeah,
Right.
because it's tough being
It
alive in
is.
America.
I'm telling you.
You have to know a lot of stuff that you don't know.
And it's going to be
For
this
example, your
Saturday
name.
and next
Paul.
Saturday.
Yeah.
That's all right.
All right, Gary. Yeah.
That's Gary. I used to work for Gary.
See?
You see?
See,
So
you're still
this
holding
connection-
a lot of Gary.
And it's
in
got
you.
a 1, 2, 3, 4 letters, right?
Yes,
Similar.
that's
Begins
correct.
with a consonant.
Dum, 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 dum. That's good. That's good. So, and
So tell us about your show.
oh, I don't know a damn thing about it because I'm not.
Because it's not Saturday
No,
yet.
it's not Saturday, and I work a lot better under pressure. I'm like a Cuban sandwich. I mean, who really wants to eat it unless it's hot? You know what I'm saying?
That's true.
And so, I don't know. I've been thinking. I think I've been thinking.
But we
It's
do
hard.
know it's at Theater Lab.
Yes, we know it's at Theater Lab, which is no longer on 14th Street. It is now on 36th Street, 357
Okay.
West 36th, on top of the Lincoln Tunnel there, between 9th and 8th, or 8th and 9th if you like. I'm bad with
Whichever
sequence.
way you're going.
Yeah.
Coming or going.
Yeah, I'm not sure. You can't tell which way, where he's coming from. Except for, I guess it means he has a very lot of hair on his back. Okay, so we're just talking about where somebody's coming from. Theater Lab, it's one word. That part I know.
And 2 weekends.
Yeah, just Saturday nights, though. I'm just trying to, I've been
2
doing
Saturdays.
politics almost exclusively for the last 5 years, and completely forgot that I, have to make a living. So it's time for me to return to my work.
What is New York City Action? I noticed your
Yeah,
button.
NYC Action. It's a bunch of the, before Obama was elected in 2008, there were a couple of, I guess you'd say, really grassroots, completely self-starting groups. One on the east side and one on the west side downtown. And we then got involved with the Obama primary and then the election. And we stayed with him. He said, I am not the change we seek, right? So I'm going to need you to back me. And I took him seriously. And I felt like a lot of other people didn't, and I felt like I had to show up because other people didn't. And I understood that, yeah, he wasn't going to have lesbian weddings on the White House lawn, tomorrow. He wasn't elected emperor. We're not going to have amnesty for all folks who are here without papers. Close down Guantanamo, and on, all the things that I would like to have happen. On the other hand, I felt like he was a complete new idea that that incrementally, if we backed him, I mean, that's the only way you can do anything in this. This Constitution is basically, oh, you want to brush your teeth? I'm sorry, but you can only comb your hair. You know what I mean? It's everything kind of obviates something else. It's everything cancels each other out in that Constitution. So you can't get a lot done, but if you maintain a progressive design, maybe you'll be able to, get some things accomplished. So I was one of the people who stayed with him, and then, we got involved in a tremendous amount of issue-oriented campaigns, and also the midterm elections, and, nobody showed up for the midterm elections. And then 2011 and 2012, I ran an Obama campaign substation in Philadelphia. It became, okay, there were little groups that we had that were self-sustaining because there's a tremendous amount of, work to be done. But then about a year before the election, the Obama organization, called at the time Organizing for America, started to motivate other groups in Brooklyn, Queens, the Bronx, Staten Island. And so after the election of 2012, we didn't want to see everybody go through the cracks, so we tried to start an overview organization, a citywide organization, and that's what New York City for Action is. And we have something to do with the Obama organization, which is now called Organizing for Action, but we do what we want to do,
like all New Yorkers.
When we want to do it, exactly, yeah. It becomes incumbent upon us to continue to push him the way he was winking that he wanted to be pushed. At the same time, there are certain times where we have to sort of go with him, like on the kind of gun control, or we don't call it gun control, we call it what? Anti-gun violence legislation.
Right.
We can't call it control. Anyways, these people are so full of baloney. The second,
Can you still say birth control?
That I don't know. Being, I don't have any eggs left myself, but I think you can, can't you? I don't know.
I hope so.
Contraception.
Oh yeah,
contraindications.
That, right?
Well, let's look at that. The anti-gun violence. That's sort of interesting because, at a gut level, when you're an American, I mean, obviously, as we all are. Not that any of us own a gun, or I don't myself, but the right to do it is sort of something dear, isn't it? It's a weird feeling,
I don't think about it at all. Yeah. I mean,
now you grew up in New York.
Yeah, I grew up in New York.
Where it's not necessary. Really,
well, I mean, if you have a gun in New York, there's 5,000 people on my block. You want everybody to have a gun.
It's easy in New York to say, "Oh, Sullivan laws." It was passed.
What is Sullivan laws?
That's the first law.
That's on Sullivan Street.
I wish.
You can have a gun on Sullivan Street. Now, once you go across Houston.
That was the original gun control law. New York is one of the. It's not the first place to control guns. I mean, guns have been controlled all throughout America.
Well, of course, they've been controlled through history in that fact that the rich people had the guns and everybody else didn't.
Right. Even beyond that, I mean, there was towns in the Old West where you were not allowed to go in there with a gun. You had to leave, check it at the gate, and
is that right?
Oh, absolutely. The West was much worse than New York. New York was legal. They caught you, you get arrested, you might go to jail, you might not, pay a fine. Out in the Old West, Wyatt Earp would beat you to a pulp in the street in front of everybody and take your guns away. How dare you come to my town?
Well, but he had a gun.
Of course, he was the sheriff.
All right.
That's how they ran the Old West.
They're absurd, these people with the Second Amendment. I mean, you're going to fight the government? You have drones? You have Navy SEALs?
Yeah.
What are you talking about, you fool? These people are going to strap automatic weapons, got to be long guns, as they call it, like long ball. What does that mean? You get a home run? I think that's what it means. There's so much to know in America. Right. Okay, so they're going to strap their long guns, they're going to leave their pistols at home, I don't know, across their bodies.
Oh, this is for the demonstration.
They're going to demonstrate in Washington. And at their convention this weekend in, of course, Texas, they had an effigy, a sort of a model sculpture of
the
Barack
bleeding
Obama.
bodies.
Yeah,
Yes.
oh, right. And somebody
Bleeding
actually
bodies.
brought their ex-wife, a bleeding ex-wife, as a target. Actually, I just saw in the paper before I came
Oh,
here.
that's nice.
Yeah, so it's an idiotic. It's growing into idiocy.
Now, how do you
as we speak.
compare that to when the Black Panthers would come?
Well,
with
that's
their
what I
guns?
put up on my Twitter account. I said, yeah, can you imagine if the old Minister of Culture of Black Panther Party got up there and said, nobody's taking our guns? Oh, really?
They did say that actually in California briefly, and then they changed the law so they couldn't do that anymore.
What do you mean?
In California, the Panthers, it was legal to carry guns in California as long as they were unloaded and in open presence.
Unloaded.
Yes. As long as they were
That's
unloaded.
useful.
Right.
I'm going to smack you as long as
they
we're
used
close
to
enough.
show up at
Right.
demos with guns.
Right.
Did they really?
And,
Yes,
and one
the
time they
Black Panthers.
actually marched with their guns out into the state capitol in Sacramento. And they couldn't be stopped from doing it. It's film. You can see it on the internet. It's all over. I'm sure it's on YouTube. The film, and it's been
Well,
put
I
in many.
think these people are going to keep their
Right.
guns loaded.
They passed a law saying you couldn't do that anymore.
Well,
In
this is,
California.
yeah, they call this,
Yeah.
this is the NRA. I don't know
So
exactly
it'd be like
if
a militia or something marching through Washington.
it's, yeah, but I mean, it's not a well-run militia.
Well-maintained,
well-oiled.
Well-rounded. Yeah, we also cook.
A well-rounded militia. Right.
We shoot people,
Right.
and then we bring
Then
them
we
all
bake-
to
bake
lasagna.
Right.
Yeah. No.
Right.
Apparently they're calling it a civil disobedience. You know, and when I think of civil
Yeah.
disobedience, I think of what we do,
Right.
which is you fall down in front of the
Chaining
cops so they
yourself
can't.
somewhere.
Yeah,
they
nothing
might-
having anything to do with guns.
Right.
And they
Well-
say, and their announcement is, if we really mean. We're putting this, that's what they said. We're putting this as subtly as possible. Subtle! And they're wearing
A gun is never
bandoleros.
subtle.
No!
All right. How about another issue that's been in the paper recently is today was just reporting 20% of all women in the armed forces have been sexually
I think more than
abused or
20%.
harassed, or more than that.
Yeah.
And I think 20% was the number. Some wag in the military said, "Oh, they already come to us 20%."
Oh, right. So, hey, that's nothing. That's
Yeah,
Oh,
right.
dear.
right.
When we,
That's literally what he said.
When we
Oh,
go into the high
community
schools and
standard.
recruit
Right.
them,
Oh,
yeah.
oh, wait, the
You
head of
say,
the-
by
how
the way,
about
you
the
may
new-
not be one of the 20%.
The new head of the NRA gave a speech. The new head of the NRA, I forget his name, replaced LaPierre. He said some idiotic
LaPierre.
thing. Don't worry, soon enough we'll be owning them again.
Women?
Black people.
No,
Okay,
he
you
didn't.
I
Yes.
swear to God.
We went back
No,
to
the,
the other
we
issue.
were
the gun,
talking
the gun
about-
issue. I went back to the gun
No, I
issue when you were
understand,
talking about rednecks, and it made
Yeah.
me think of this other redneck I just heard today.
Yeah, I
He said
understand
that, and
the
I don't want to knock
connection,
rednecks. Redneck just means you work out in the sun and work hard. I mean, there's
Well, it
nothing
doesn't
bad.
really, it means something else.
It has a
other than that,
connotation
yeah.
other than that.
Those of us who work out in the sun
Right.
and are Puerto Rican, we are tan necks.
Right.
Thank you very
There
much.
you go. But he did say that, the new head of and then LaPierre said, "Oh, I guess we'll have to
No,
remove
come on,
them."
we're going to own them again.
Yes, he
Yeah,
I swear to
yeah,
God.
said that?
Yes, he did.
Did he know the mic was on?
Yeah, he said in a speech.
Oh, my
He said,
Lord.
he
Well-
said, we're not going to let. How can they? What'll be electing next that they elected one of them president?
Whoa!
And then he
so
said-
that sort of does
And
point
then,
to it.
nice
in the
at
same
all.
speech, and then
not nice at all.
And then he said,
No, but look, they are making
he sounded like Hitler, to be honest with you.
Gary,
Yes, good enough.
Gary Paul. They are making our argument for
Yeah.
us.
Right. What do
I
you
mean,
have to say?
is it that the are there extra 5-year-olds killing 2-year-olds and 2-year-olds killing 5-year-olds, or are we just hearing about it now because the issue is forefront? Because I mean, every day there's been a 2-year-old killing a 5-year-old, or there's been a
Yeah.
13-year-old who's accidentally
basically
cleaning
gun
his-
accidents in families?
Unbelievable.
Yes.
Unbelievable. And also at this same conference in Texas, this NRA conference, they had some new marketing idea to market to kids. And I keep reading how in this marketing seminar that was given at this conference, they actually said the idea is to keep your guns in the house in your child's room.
I saw that
Now,
headline. I didn't
I-
read the story.
I
Yeah.
don't see
Well, they do make like mini guns.
For
'Cause
kids.
I know
that actually shoot.
that shoot. Yeah, because when I was a kid, I grew up in Louisiana where they do have guns.
But where in
everywhere.
Louisiana?
New Orleans.
They had guns in New Orleans? Because it's pretty dense in New Orleans.
Yes, they have guns in New Orleans. They have guns everywhere
And
now.
out
man,
in
they
the
had-
country
Yeah.
too. You
No,
know,
but I
where
mean,
my-
in New Orleans, people used to wear guns.
they wouldn't wear them out.
Oh,
no.
oh,
But
oh.
They have
them
You're
concealed
talking
in
about
the
war.
pistols?
house. Yeah, and rifles, like to shoot
Sure,
at
rifles
targets and
is-
stuff. You
Yeah.
know?
Rifles. See, that used to be the thing.
That's what we
a
did
rifle,
when we were
you can't really put a
kids.
rifle
We
inside
shoot
your
at
shirt.
targets.
Right.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
With a rifle.
Yeah.
In New Orleans?
No, out in the country.
Okay, but you grew up in New Orleans. That's a city.
Yeah, but my grandmother was like, you know, across Lake Pontchartrain in the
Oh,
country.
really?
Yeah.
In
And so we'd shoot at
what's it
targets
called?
with these
In
mini
Slidell?
guns.
In Slidell?
No, but close. Covington,
Oh,
Franklinton,
Covington.
that
Oh
whole
my
area.
God. I know that
Right.
area.
And all my
That's where they
relatives who
wouldn't let
lived in-
people from New Orleans in after
Yes, it was terrible.
the
on
levees
the
broke.
bridge, Right.
Yeah.
yeah. Your grandmother's still there?
No, long gone.
She's in Covington?
No, in Franklinton, Louisiana.
My Lord. I can't. All right. So anyway, you used to shoot.
Yeah,
How-
and they
how
have
was
these like
your,
small guns
aim,
for
huh?
children. Good.
Come on. They had small guns for children?
Yeah.
Then?
Yeah.
Oh. And did they have stripes on
It's like
them
they have
from
little violins, you know?
Yeah, I understand that.
Yeah,
They're
one-third
sized to
size,
the
yeah.
child. Yeah.
Well, and did they have pictures of Disney characters on it? There's my
the
Cinderella
target?
gun.
On the target.
No, I mean on the gun.
Oh, no.
Bleeding Dumbos and stuff like that.
Oh, elephants. See, this is the thing. It's hard to be in the least bit keep your eyes and ears open. It just kills you. Every single thing that's happening, it's almost impossible every day.
Now,
is
what
there
about
ever
money?
anything-
Because I
No,
know you
there's
did
no
a
money.
show called Money
Absolutely.
Talks.
Yeah, I did my show
And
about
that's such
money.
an interesting thing.
Yeah, I explained what shorting was, and
All
my
different kinds of
version of shorting.
financial terms.
It was all up, not just terms, but I
theories.
well, I don't know about theories, but I mean, yes, I
What-
suppose the
What is shorting?
efficient market theory. Shorting
Yeah, what
is
is-
okay. So I call my broker. You have to have a relationship with a broker. Okay,
Okay, just start.
So that leaves us all here out, and maybe the tech dude, Richard. Richard, are you? Do you have a relationship with a broker? He's calling his broker right now, Merrill and Lynch. And so you have to have a relationship, and you call up your broker and you say, "I want to borrow, okay, 100,000 shares of AT&T, okay, because you believe that AT&T is going to go down, all right? So you have a couple of weeks to do this. I mean, you borrow it, and after that, you don't have to pay it back for a while. You borrow it, you sell at the let's say it's 50 right now.
Okay.
So 50 times 100,000, so that's $5 million. You get $5 million that you don't own because you borrowed, right? Right. Now you have to keep a margin or a percentage of that $5 million in an account with the licensed broker who's supposed to really know what's going on, right? And I'll get to the next level of this after I do this level. It's too outrageous. Okay, so now, like I think, AT&T goes down. And I'm thinking, how long am I going to hold out? Because I have to, give these shares back. I'll go at 25. Now I will buy 100,000 shares at 25, which is $2.5 million. And I have the $2.5 million because I sold shares I don't own for $5 million. So now I sell them. I buy them and I give them back to the broker, and I put the 2.5 less the broker's percentage, which is a couple of basis points. A basis point, what that is. Each dollar has 100 basis points.
Okay.
You might call them pennies, but no, they don't call them.
That would be too easy.
I know. But, I think because basis points, I think euros have basis points too, so they're not called, pennies.
Right.
Anyway, now, say AT&T, I'm completely crazy, and AT&T goes up. So, I stole $5 million, right, from these 100,000 borrowed shares, and now it went up to 100 from 50. So now I'm in the whole 5 million plus the percentage, plus for the broker, plus the broker, because I don't have to keep all of that in there, right? Because, well, I mean, I had to have money to start with to keep in an account with the broker. But now I've been using the money, right? So the $5 million that I got. So the broker asks for more money when he sees the stock price going up. So where am I going to get that money? So I have to borrow from Peter to Paul. All right. So if you're wrong in shorting, you know, you're really in big trouble. However, this is another slant on shorting that is mind-blowing, okay? You don't even really have to borrow actual shares. You've heard the expression naked shorting? Okay, seriously. It's called naked shorting. It means that nobody's wearing their clothes, obviously. And it means that, for example, Bear Stearns, which was the small, so-called small brokerage firm amongst the, investment bank amongst the big IBs, IBs being investment banks, Bear Stearns, at the height of its trouble before it had to pack things in, people had shorted Bear Stearns more shares than were extant. Okay? You've heard of market capitalization. It means that the Reno Corporation has 100 shares out in the public, and each one of them is worth $1,000. So my market capitalization is $100,000. Okay? It's the amount of shares times how much they're going for at any given moment. That's your market capitalization. So let's say Bear Stearns' market capitalization was $100 billion. Okay? People had shorted $150 billion worth of shares, which is, you'd think, well, how is that possible?
Right.
Well,
That
how
don't
is that
even
possible?
exist.
What about, exactly. It's the same thing as oil. Oil gets traded way more than exists in the world, right? And all the commodities. I tell you something, finance, when I'm learning about, capitalism, a lot of shocking things. First of all, that it's based on borrowing. That our economy and all capitalist economies are completely based on borrowing. So when we were hearing all about that credit crunch, which I, of course, thought was a new Ben & Jerry's flavor, you know what I mean? Why was that such a big deal, credit crunch? Because I don't borrow money. Do you borrow money? Do you invest money that you borrow? I mean, people borrow money to invest, right? Because they think they're going to get a better return.
Gambling with borrowed money, that's like double gambling.
Exactly. Of course, that's how I feel. And I was brought up in a working class family, and I can tell you, we didn't read the Wall Street Journal in my family, right? And nobody even talked about money because there was no money. I mean, we had enough to buy.
When the big short crisis happened in 1929, let's see. The last time there was a gigantic shorting crisis, it was in 1929, October. The Great Depression began after that, and the world didn't come out of it until there was a mushroom cloud in the sky 13 years later.
Well,
16,
I have, my
16
history is a little
later.
different than yours, Gary Paul, but...
That's how, it started with that and didn't end till the big boom.
Well, okay, you could say that, but not really. But there are lots of increments in between. Nevertheless, all I was going to say is, you find out that this economy that we are forced, you can't.
You have no choice.
You have no choice. I mean, you've got to participate.
You have to pay your taxes.
Yeah, you have to
make enough money to live off.
That's right, and you have to get in the subway, and you have to buy the little card, and you have to make sure you know what's going on, because no one's going to necessarily tell you what's going to go on. Like in September 11th, did Mr. Giuliani call each of us and say, you better get out of the house? Are we coming down to the moment here? Richard is looking.
We got.
Okay.
Yes.
So there are all these burdens that are incumbent upon each and every individual in America that you don't really get taught. Does anybody ring your bell and say,
you're in school?
Yeah, and say, by the way, this entire system is based on borrowing. If we can't borrow, we can't grow. So there's something called, for individuals, there's something called a credit rating, and it's going to start on you in 5 years when you're 18, and this is how you keep it straight.
Right, without having problems.
Okay, now
Nobody knows that.
let's tie it all up. We got a couple of minutes left. What are we going to do about all this?
Well, what we do about the main thing is people have to know. People have to
Yes,
educate
knowledge,
themselves.
right?
Tell us a little bit again about what's happening with you.
Well, my show is, you know, my whole thing is alive in America. This is what you have to do. This is who you have to be, and it's too much.
And this is
It's
going to
too
be
much.
at Theater Lab.
It is going to be Theater Lab. Yeah, one word, Theater Lab. It's not like Theater Lab. And it's on West 36th Street, 357. But you
And
just
your
look up
website
Theater Lab. Theater Lab is the
is
best
better? Okay.
website for
the
tickets for that. Yeah.
information, yeah.
I mean, I think it's selling out, so it's probably a
hurry
good
up,
idea.
guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hurry up.
Yeah. And as everybody knows who see me perform, it's not like, you know, laugh after laugh after laugh. It's
It's
But there's plenty
educational.
of
Like now,
laughs.
you just educated us
Yeah.
about the irony of our existence.
of our financial existence,
Right.
exactly.
Yes.
Tomorrow we're going to get into our physical existence.
Where were you on 9/11?
September 11th is what I always call it, sorry.
September 11th.
I live 10 blocks from there in
Okay.
Tribeca Stand.
So
and I
you
was
were home
asleep.
at the time?
Yeah, I was asleep because I go to bed around 7 in the morning. And I was woken up, I guess, by the impact of the first plane hitting the building. And I woke up momentarily and, you know, stretched and said, suicide bombers, and I went back to sleep.
Uh-huh.
Because I remembered the last time.
Right.
You know,
Right.
when all of
93.
the noises, all of the sirens were going right past my house on the way down to the World Trade Center. But I thought I was kidding, of course, and then the phone started ringing off the hook. People were going, at the time, you used to have an answering machine.
That's right.
Where you could hear people's voices over
Screaming,
it.
yeah.
And people were saying, well, no, I wasn't screaming, I was asleep. You know, people were screaming, Reno, I'm so sorry to bother you. I know you're not awake yet. You know, I wouldn't bother you, but it was happening in your
right,
own neighborhood.
yeah.
So here we are.
Do you think that the last Bush and now Obama have been effective in dealing with this?
It's an impossible problem. I mean, the big problem is always money, and if there was a better distribution of the wealth in the world, then you'll always have radical, crazy people who are, you know, religious. But if they're able to have their own lives, and like the kids in Palestine who've had how many generations where they haven't had any ability at all to have their own lives, you know, if that all could be put together so that you know, we didn't consolidate the wealth upward and have everybody else in the mud, I don't think we'd have too much problem with terrorism.
Okay, very interesting. All right, anything, 10 seconds left? Anything you'd like to add to our audience?
Thanks for coming tonight.
Yeah, sure. No. Just
Thank you.
my shows are this Saturday, the 11th, and the next Saturday, the 18th, on top of the Lincoln Tunnel.
Great. That's easy to find. Thank you.
The end.
Yeah.
The end.
Well, you got.